Babies can eat so many more foods than we give them credit for. And babies will eat a lot of weird stuff too. Just wait, I'm gonna show you. Hello, I'm Katie Ferraro. I'm a registered dietitian and mom of 7. And in 2016, I created the original 100 First Foods approach to starting solid foods with baby-led weaning. So we help babies eat 100 different foods before they turn 1. And I'm gonna be honest, some of those foods you're gonna be like, whoa, what? Babies can eat those? But in this video, I'm gonna share 5 weirdish foods that might be weird to us, but babies totally love. And hang tight, 2 of these are ones that I actually caught my mom, who at first did not like baby-led weaning, eventually bragging about her grandbabies eating. So the 5 foods that I am going to share in this video follow my 5-step feeding framework. This is the exact outline that we use to offer your baby 1 new food each day, 5 new foods per week as part of the overall 100 First Foods program. I teach more about this 5-step feeding framework on a free 1-hour video training called Baby-Led Weaning for Beginners. So if you're just starting out with solid foods or you're trying to figure out baby-led weaning on your own, don't. Come join me in the workshop. It's a great place to start. Plus, everybody on this free training gets a copy of my original 100 First Foods list. You can sign up for this week's workshop times if you go to babyledweaning.co, or the registration page is linked in the description below the video. So all right, let's go ahead and get started with 5 weird foods I promise your baby is going to love. First up is lemon. Okay, why would you offer your baby lemon? Well, I mean, the adorable reaction from babies is reason enough, but babies are totally open to trying a wide range of foods and tastes and flavors, including sour foods like lemons. Now, lemons, as you probably are aware, are citrus fruits, and citrus contains vitamin C. So vitamin C is important for babies in the weaning period because it helps them absorb the valuable iron from the other foods that you're offering to them. So how do you do lemon safely for baby-led weaning? You can definitely incorporate the taste of lemon into other recipes like low-sodium lemon ricotta pancakes, for example, or dressings or other sauces that you use to make food soft and moist and easier for your baby to swallow. But for older babies, so these are the babies who are able to tolerate combination foods. So usually after your baby's been eating single foods in phase 1 of baby-led weaning for about 8 weeks, we can move on to the combo foods. My favorite way to do lemon for these babies is Greek lemon chicken soup. It's called avgolemano, and it is a great food for babies. So I love this recipe so much. I actually did this Greek lemon chicken soup for my own baby twins, Gus and Hannah, to celebrate their 100th food, lemon, when they were doing baby-led weaning.
Hi guys, welcome back. It's day 100, and the food that the babies are trying is lemon. And I and my mom make Greek lemon chicken soup. You want to watch the babies eat it?
You can definitely make soups and stews work for baby-led weaning. Just use no added salt or low sodium broth when you're cooking. You can make your soup really thick like a stew, or strain it so that the solids in that soup or the stew are easier for the babies to pick up with their hands or to eat with their little tiny baby-led weaning spoons. I'll share my recipe for this Greek lemon chicken soup with you guys. It's also in the description below if you want to try it at home for your baby. So don't shy away from sour foods like lemon. I promise your baby will love it, and you will love to watch their reaction. Okay, next up on the weird baby food list, beets. Personally, I cannot stand beets. I can't even stand the smell of them cooking. It makes me gag, but it always amazes me. Babies go bonkers for beets. So beets are great because they contain fiber and folate and potassium, and of course they are beautiful when they're cooked. Red beets are the most common type of beets found in the United States, but be careful because they definitely can stain. So I'm not normally a fan of feeding your baby without any clothes or naked. It can actually be pretty uncomfortable from a sensory standpoint for your baby, but because beets do stain, it is one food that I might tend to try in the hotter months when I'm more comfortable going without clothes, just because you've been warned, beet juice stains, and it's almost impossible to get out of some clothing. So you can boil beets. It's actually faster to pressure cook them if you want to. If you have an Instant Pot, drop them in there. But you can also find canned beets, which are really convenient and affordable. Look for the lowest sodium canned options. There's also brands of fresh beets now that are sold that are already prepped for you. Some of these have no added salt, which is great because your baby can eat them and then you don't have to deal with the hassle of preparing them. Just cut the beets into strips about the size of your adult pinky finger, and then you take those strips and you put them into the bowl for your baby. Then your baby can use their hand to pick it up and feed to themselves. Just a heads up too, beets can change the color of your baby's stool. It becomes a deep red. It looks very similar to what blood in the baby's stool looks like. So just be prepared for some funky diapers after beets, but they're an awesome, kind of weird food for your baby to try. Okay, the next weird food that you might not realize that babies love is polenta. So polenta is a type of cornmeal porridge. You might be familiar with it from Italian cuisine. Cornmeal is a great whole grain for your baby to try. All whole grains are wonderful because they contain iron and fiber and other nutrition that you just don't find in the refined counterpart grains. So we want your baby to eat whole grains, and cornmeal is a great way to provide the nutrition and the carbohydrate that fuels your baby's body. Now, I know a lot of people use cornmeal to make cornbread, but the problem with cornbread for babies is that most recipes contain added sugar, which the American Academy of Pediatrics says to avoid added sugars for children under age 2. Then there are other cornbread recipes, they have honey in them. And we, of course, don't do any honey for babies under age 1 because of the risk for botulism. Some would argue that in cooked baked goods, the honey is not problematic, but there really is not any general, great guidance on this. So my recommendation is always, when it comes to honey, when in doubt, leave it out, including honey in any food that you're offering to your baby. Plus, honey is an added sugar, and again, we don't offer added sugars to babies in their diet anyway. So, all right, what about store-bought polenta, okay? The kind that you find in a tube on the shelf at your grocery store? Well, if you turn that puppy over and you look at the nutrition facts panel, you will see that there's way too much sodium for babies. So my general rule of thumb is that I look for less than 100 milligrams of sodium in any packaged product that I'm going to offer to a baby. Now, keeping in mind that most foods we offer to babies for baby-led weaning, they don't come from a package. And of course, your baby is not going to be eating the full posted adult serving size. But it's so easy to make polenta for baby-led weaning. You might as well do it at home. Save yourself some money too. You can make your own polenta at home by using 1 cup of cornmeal. You mix that with 4 cups of boiling water. Don't add any salt. You stir it for about 5 minutes. Then I lower the heat. I cover it, I let it thicken for about 30 minutes, stirring it once every 4 or 5 minutes or so. You can add in butter if you want to, unsalted butter. Just keep in mind that butter contains cow's milk protein. That's a potentially allergenic food. It's fine, you're just gonna wanna make sure that your baby has had exposure to cow's milk protein a number of times without reaction before you try it for the first time with cornmeal. Okay, so when the polenta is cooked and cooled a bit, you end up with this really nice, thick, creamy porridge that you can offer off of a pre-loaded spoon for your baby. So you can honor the self-feeding principles of baby-led weaning and still offer pureed foods like polenta porridge as long as you do the pre-loaded spoon approach. So the pre-loaded spoon approach is a technique invented by Dawn Winkleman. She's a speech-language pathologist and feeding expert. She's also the inventor of these award-winning tiny spoons, which are my favorite spoons for baby-led weaning. You can get 10% off of everything at Easy Peasy Fun for this feeding gear if you use my affiliate discount code Katie10. Another cool thing about polenta is that when it cools to warm, but it's still malleable, you can form the polenta into patties, and then you can fry them in whatever cooking oil you use at home. Okay, don't let them get too crunchy or crispy, but once they're cooked through and then cooled, you cut the polenta patties into strips about the size of your adult pinky finger, put them in the baby's bowl, and you can offer the baby these polenta strips, which they can pick up and self-feed. Babies love polenta, and it's a safe and easy way to introduce your baby to a whole grain that you might not always think about, which is cornmeal. Okay, next up on the weird food that babies love list, liver. Depending upon your food culture, you might actually love liver, but there are lots of people who definitely turn their noses up whenever you mention or offer liver to a baby. I actually remember when I was doing the 100 First Foods program with my 6th and 7th babies, my twins, Gus and Hannah. My neighbor Mary, she used to come over every day and see what the babies were eating. And so she rolled in one day and she's like, "What's the new food of the day for Gus and Hannah?" And I said, "It's liver day." To which she replied, "Why? What'd they ever do to you?" You're doing your baby a favor if you offer them liver. First up, it's packed with iron. It's like the most iron-dense food that you can offer. We actually don't want to do organ foods super often for babies, but it certainly is a food that you can offer in moderation. That's fine. Liver is not only nutritious, but it offers a really cool new mealy texture for your baby to try. Liver is definitely better when it's cooked in butter. It's super fine to do if your baby has already tried cow's milk protein a number of times on its own without any reaction, as of course there's cow's milk in butter. You can do any type of animal liver that you can get your hands on. I usually buy beef liver, find it in the frozen aisle at any grocery store. I fry it in unsalted butter, cut it into strips about the size of your adult pinky finger, put it in a suction bowl for the baby who can then easily pick it up and self-feed it. I mentioned organ meats earlier, and organ meats for babies, it's one of the categories of food that we do want to offer in moderation. I actually have a whole episode about organ meat safety and liver in particular, liver for babies, and that's on my podcast. The podcast is called Baby-Led Weaning Made Easy. That's in episode 103, and the name of that podcast episode is Liver, How to Offer Liver Safely to Babies. I'm going to put the link in the description below this video if you guys want to listen to learn more about liver. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up with what's probably my absolute favorite weird food to watch babies eat, and that is sardines. Don't roll your eyes. Sardines, that's the one I caught my mom. She was like bragging to her friends like, oh my gosh, Katie's babies are eating sardines and beets by themselves. It would blow people's mind when your baby eats sardines. Sardines are magic for baby-led weaning. So sardines are a type of small fish, and fish is one of the big 9 allergenic foods. So those are the 9 foods that account for about 90% of food allergy, the foods we want to serve to your baby early and often. But I know a lot of you might not be into making fish all the time in your home kitchens. You might, but if not, sardines are great for like a lazy day new food. You can find sardines at the grocery store that are canned or tinned without any added sodium. Just a heads up though, fish and shellfish are foods that are rich in minerals, including the naturally occurring mineral sodium. So sometimes you're gonna see higher levels of sodium in sardines than you would expect, but as long as the sodium isn't in the ingredient list, meaning it's not added, then you can rest assured that this is naturally occurring sodium. You can also rinse your sardines like any canned good. That reduces the sodium content by about 30% if it is added salt. You can't wash out the salt that's inside of the sardines. But sardines are a type of oily or fatty fish, and this is great because that fat equates to moisture, and moisture makes foods easier for babies to swallow. You just take the sardines, you put them in a bowl. I cut the pieces about the size of my adult pinky finger, and you let your baby go to town. They can pick up the solid pieces of sardine strip and feed to themselves. Okay, to recap, 5 kind of weird foods that you might not have thought to feed to your baby: lemon, beets, polenta, liver, and sardines. My 100 first foods list has 95 other ideas of foods that you can safely feed your baby. I give that full 100 first foods list to everybody on my free hour-long video training called Baby-Led Weaning for Beginners. Again, it's an hour, but we go into more depth. It's a comprehensive online free training which you can sign up for if you want to check out this week's workshop times. Go to babyledweaning.co, or it's linked up underneath where you're watching this video.